My name is Michelle and I do 5-star book reviews, and I just finished this book like 5 minutes ago. Up on your screen, Stories We Never Told by Sonja Yoerg came out May 1st. Today is the 8th, so it's only a week old or so. Is it really the 8th? It is the 8th. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to give it the highest compliment that I can find. I'm usually reading like 2 or 3 books at a time. That's just how I do it. I can't explain it. I have them on my Kindle. I'm listening. I've got the books. I mean, I just rotate. That's how I am. This book, every time I had a chance, I found myself, because I had it on audio and I had it on Kindle. Every time I had a chance, I read this book. I listened to it or read it. I kept going back and back and back. And I was like, wow, this book is amazing. I'm not going to tell you the other books I was reading because those are equally really good books that are on the New York Times bestseller right this second. But I kept going back to this one. Sonja, if you're watching, that is the highest compliment I can give you. Up on your screen, 328 pages, domestic thriller. This is so different for Sonja, yet it was perfect. It's number 3 on Amazon for a domestic thriller. You guys know I love a domestic thriller that's under 350 pages because it's really hard to make them longer than that. You got to keep it moving. You got to keep the story moving. And that's what she did. She hooked me in the first chapter. I kept going back and back and back until it was the only book I was reading. I don't know. I'm like, how do you explain to people that it's worthy of 5 stars? I think if that doesn't say it, then I don't know what else to say. I kept going back and back and back. This book is perfect. I'm going to give you my 5 favorite things about this book. I want to try to convince you that you need to go read this book. I love Sonja, and I'll get into her in a little bit, but I do love her so much, and I didn't know what to expect. I really didn't. That's why I think it was even more exciting. I didn't hear much about it. Of course, I know who she is, but I was like, okay, let's just start it, and I'll just weave it into the other books that I'm reading until it's the only book I'm reading. That's just amazing to me, Sonja. It really is. But you know, I love you. You know I do. Here we go. Number 1, first of all, domestic thrillers. I love domestic thrillers. I do not like thrillers that are going to keep me awake at night. There's a difference. Domestic thrillers mean they keep the pages turning. They're mysterious, and they're like, in the beginning of this book, I had no idea where she was going, and she kept me going and guessing, and I was like, where is this going, Sonja? Where are we going with this story? But that's what a domestic thriller is. It's usually about people who are closely connected. It's about secrets. It's about lies, and you got us into these characters' lives. So amazing. And I love the title, The Stories We Never Tell. I love that. You don't know when you know someone, like, what don't you know? What do you know? What don't you know? And she wove that in so amazing with these characters. I get so happy talking about this because I just finished it and I just want to scream how amazing this is. Number 2, Jackie Strelitz. Strelitz? I don't even know if I say that right. She's the main character. I was listening to it also, but when I read it, sometimes I read a name and it's completely different than the audio says, but I don't even remember. Main character, she's a psychology professor. She does research on like autistic kids or kids with learning disabilities, and her character, I fell in love with her. I don't want to give her up. How does that happen in a psychological, okay, this is not a psychological thriller, but it could be. I think that Amazon could have put this under psychological thriller, domestic thriller. You fall in love with Jackie, and I want her to be my best friend. I want to keep her with me. She is so cool. I love her. Brings me to number 2, number 3, but the second character, HARLAN CRISPIN. That is Jackie's ex-boyfriend. For those of you who have ex-boyfriends, had ex-boyfriends, we know what that's like. He's still in her life, which is not fun at all. You're going to love how she deals with him. I don't know, how much more should I tell you than that? How much more? She deals with him how I probably would have dealt with him, which is not good. Not good. Probably how every woman would deal with an ex-boyfriend. Which brings me to the third character, number 4, NASIRA AMARI. Now, she is a woman that works with her on her research team. She's Syrian, she's young, and guess what? She's Harlan's new girlfriend. Oh, isn't that interesting, right? Little love triangle, but it gets way more complicated than that because Jackie's married. Did I mention that? Jackie's married. She's married to Miles. She's in the same profession with her ex-boyfriend, colleague, should we say, and then he's dating this young Syrian girl. None of us would handle this well. What is going on? What is going on behind the scenes? That's what we get to find out. And that's what made this story so amazing. I thought I knew how it was going to end too. It was kind of interesting. I really didn't know. Let's just put it that way. I thought I knew, but I didn't know. The stories that unravel between all the characters, even Jackie's, I kept thinking about my own life, like people who know me. Like, what do you portray to people who know you, as opposed to what is like the truth as to who you are? And then how, especially at this age, at 55, how far back do you go? High school? Childhood? All the stories that, my childhood is not necessarily fun. And I don't really go into it. It shapes who I am. The people around me know, but then your closest friends, how much do they know? She did it. Sonja, you did that so well. As we got to know these characters and their backgrounds, we became kind of sympathetic for them. Even Harlan a little bit sympathetic. We see how their background shapes who they are and their stories and who they become. And I love that. So it brings me to number 5, number 1, however you guys do it. Count up, count down, I don't care. Sonja. I read Sonja's book last year, True Places, and I did a book review, and I'm going to post it below because I loved it. It was women's fiction, and it was the first book I read by her. This is her 4th book, I'm pretty sure, 99.9% sure. True Places was so good. I was like, oh my gosh, she is amazing. Now, there are many reasons that I find her amazing. She is a Lake Union author. Love Lake Union authors. Then she's a tall poppy writer. Love my tall poppy writers. I couldn't love her anymore. But not only is she part of that category of women, of tall poppy writers, because I'm still trying to get to one of those conventions. I'm going to sneak in someday. There are a bunch of women who really help support each other as writers, and they have these amazing, some of them are in England, Ireland, I know some, and they get together and they have too much fun, and I want to be in on it. I think they should tape them. Maybe they should tape them. I don't know, but I want to be there. I want to be there, Sonja. Can you get me in? I think maybe they should have an open one. They can have their own little closed one, but have an open one for us. True Places was like her breakout hit. And that was such a good book. And it kind of came out of nowhere for me because I try to read all tall poppy writer books. That's just me. I think they're all amazing authors. So when I read it, I was like, of course she's good. She's a tall poppy writer. And she's a Lake Union writer. Of course she's good. But I was still amazed by how good that book was. Well, this one, and I don't want to say better because I don't think you can say better. I think it's a different genre. But Sonja, if you're watching this, my advice is your next book. You've got to stick with this domestic thriller. You own this, girl. You own this genre. And I am so happy to say that, and I'm so happy that I read it. I read it in 3 days. I started this book. Like I said, I was reading 3 books, and I started this one about 2 or 3 days ago, and then I never stopped. And now I got to go back to those other books, and I'm like, all right, I'll go back to the other ones that just got beat out by Sonja's book. Now that I got it all out, I feel so much better. It's such a gloomy day here in Pennsylvania. It's Friday. It's cold. We're in May. Like I said, it's the 8th, and it's cold and yucky, and we're in for a yucky weekend. I have plenty of reading to do, plenty of videos to make. To get this book, I'm going to put it below, Amazon. If you are part of Kindle Unlimited, I think you get both. I think you get the audio and the Kindle. Not quite sure, but I'm pretty sure you do. But I'm also going to list the indie for when we get to go to bookstores, which is hopefully really, really soon. Pennsylvania, we're looking at June 7th now. It just keeps extending. Thank you, Sonja. Thank you for this amazing book. Thank you for making my week. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. Let me know if you read it. I want to know. I mean, it's only been out a week, but still, let me know when you do read it, if you plan on reading it, when you read it. I want to hear all about it. So everyone, until my next